I'm live. Apparently. Yes. So the behind the scenes is not very exciting, is it? Now, my job for this week is to learn how to live stream from OBS through yet another app onto Facebook Live. So that's job. That's another job. Ouch, said Cynthia Fry. I have no idea why. What did I say that required ouch? Mohsen Amini, the fastest accordion player in all of El Paso or Scotland, is on the line. So we're 5 minutes ahead of time, but sure, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm still drinking coffee. The sun is shining. It's an absolutely beautiful day in Galway. It's stunning. Real early summer vibe. We spent a lot of time in the garden this week, and it looks really good. It's beautiful today. Really, really nice. So I hope everybody is doing well. Gloria Hayes from Sunday. Well, when you got the sun, Gloria, you're in Florida. I was early, said Amy. I am early, yes. I wanted to get the live stream up and running and make sure everything was working properly, and so far so good. Kathy Brown, thank you for doing these live streams. It helps. Well, I hope so. We're enjoying them. I wasn't really in the mood for today, I gotta admit. It's been a very strange kind of a day, but now that I'm in the saddle, so to speak, I'm more in the mood for it. But I am excited about the guests that we have on today. I saw Joe Miller there from Port Clinton in Ohio, where we have played many times at the Listening Room in Port Clinton. Loved it there. That was the first time that the twerker showed up. I'm sure Joe remembers the twerker, who's turned out to be a really lovely person and a great fan of the band, and has been actually, I don't know, Joe, you probably didn't make it to Kent, Ohio when we played Kent Stage in February, and we had twerking live on stage. It was a sight to behold. Many of us needed to go to Mass and confession afterwards, just to kind of feel a little bit cleansed. Anybody that was there knows what I'm talking about. Thanks for getting on early. Get to tune in for a few minutes before lunch break is over. Well, thanks, Marianne. It's good to see you. Hello from Wauwatosa. Is Wauwatosa the middle of nowhere? Or is that Wautoma? I know we played in a town that is very proud of the fact that when you enter the town, there's a big sign that says, "Welcome to the middle of nowhere." And it's either Wautoma or Wauwatosa. I can't remember which. Becky Reeves, hello, and the first time I've gotten to watch any of your live streams. I'm always at work, which I currently am, but I'm watching anyway. That's my attitude to work as well. I did at one time have a real job. For 16 years, I worked for the health department with my wife. That's where I met my wife, rather. So that was the best thing to come out of that job, certainly from my point of view. I think 14 years later, she's still questioning herself, but we're doing okay. There's Mary Beth, my granddaughter, and I saw you in Silver City, New Mexico, and she danced all night. That was a beautiful gig. And we stayed out at an amazing ranch outside of Silver City, one of the dark zones of the world, out in this nature reserve, and it was pretty stunning. Pam Ellingston wants to know what time it is. Here or there. I don't know where you are, Pam, but right here it's 2 minutes to 6 o'clock, and in the evening, and it's a beautiful evening. You want to come and say hello? Are you going to walk the dog? Is it wrong for me to pause my remote teaching to join you? It most certainly is not wrong. It's a really, really good idea.
Sweet.
Look at my YouTube. I decided to lose the plot altogether. There we go. You getting a chance, friends?
Maybe.
Are you? An absolute chancer. All right. Have you anything wise to say?
Never listen to your father. He always has bad ideas.
Great ideas. You just don't listen to me. That's the problem. Is that right?
Bullshit.
Yeah, sometimes I think I'm speaking in Swahili. Now,
Bye.
you go walk the dog?
Yeah.
See you later.
Bye.
See you later. All right. I am going to try to ring. Let's see. Let's try and get Colm up here. That's a long Skype. Colm's unavailable. Okay, well, we'll try him again in a few minutes. I'm sure he'll see that. I did say it would be after 6, not in 1 minute to 6. So oh yeah, Watoma is the middle of nowhere, and Wauwatosa is literally next to Milwaukee. So that's the definition of not in the middle of nowhere. That's good to know. That is great. Can we do a John Prine song? We will have some John Prine before the end of the hour. For sure. A very sad day for sure. Matthew's a little hooligan, isn't he? Yes. Yes, he absolutely is.
I am totally.
Just like his father. What a cutie. I love his sense of humour. I saw you guys at the Ark last month, says Kathy. Yeah, we love the Ark. Cynthia says hello, Matthew. And Gloria, who you know well, says hello, Matthew.
Hello.
Colm said, I pressed the wrong button. Go again. All right. Let's try that again. So, right. Scram, Batman. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, how's things?
I like this. Skype is offering to give me a tutorial. Just wait 1 second now, and I'm going to get you on screen. Here. Okay, hold on. This is the wonders of modern technology. Causes me nothing but. There you are. How's it going? All right, so we have Colm Phelan and Anya McGeaney live from Portlaoise.
Portlaoise. Yeah, you have it. Yeah. The heart of the Midlands.
How's everything in Portlaoise?
Yeah. Quiet, obviously, like the rest of Ireland, but we've been kept kind of busy doing DIY and loads of other little things, like the rest of the country and everywhere else around the world, I suppose.
Yeah,
everyone's there a painter and stuff at the moment, but
yeah, we've discovered that neither of us can paint at all.
Yeah,
And we're almost divorced because of it.
It's a good test of a marriage, anyway, is painting.
yeah. But we just moved into a house that we bought before we went on tour, and when we came back then we decided to get buckets of paint, and we thought we were going to get someone in to do the job professionally, but now since the whole place is shut down, myself and Ryan thought we'd have a dab at it, but quickly figured that we should be leaving it to professionals, so I think we're going to have to get someone to undo all the hard work that we've done.
It's like free marriage counselling is DIY in your own home.
I don't know about that.
You'll get to the root of an awful lot of issues by the time you've finished.
Oh, it's kind of fun too, though. It's nice to put our hand to it.
So speaking of which, so we met you for the people that are listening. We have a huge Irish audience, obviously, or fans of Irish music. But we do have a lot of people that have met We Banjo 3 through Bluegrass and through festivals like Grey Fox and Romp and so on and so forth that may not have come across the Irish band Wichita, which of course you two are in. So give us just a kind of a brief history of the band. When did you start? Why on earth did you try and start a band? What a crazy idea.
Well, we all went to college together in Limerick, the University of Limerick. So like, I think it was 2007 was our first year there. And I think like within a week or two, we all sort of just started jamming and playing away as it was. And then Owen Coughlin was the guitar teacher down there, and Colin was doing guitar for a couple of lessons. And he asked us, would we put together like a bit of a group for was it a charity telethon or something in Dolan's? And we went and we just played there, and afterwards we were like, oh, that was all right. We should maybe do this every week just for a bit of crack, and then we started meeting up, and that was sort of the band. So we kept doing it the whole way through college, and then 2011 we finished college and then just went on tour that summer. That was our first time out to the States.
Yeah.
And our first tour we did the 8-week tour of the States that nearly killed us.
8 weeks.
Today weeks, the very first summer we had done
My best was the day again.
Mine Fest in the day weeks, and it was crazy because we hadn't really gigged much before then, so we kind of really found out a lot about ourselves and the dynamic within the group as well. Very stressful. So the fact that we managed to still be friends at the end of that 8 weeks. Kind of,
Never mind about it.
yeah, my band was doing well. So.
Were the two of you friends or more than friends at that stage?
We just started going out in 2011 actually.
March,
Yeah, just as we were finishing college, we decided to get it together. Yeah, so
Wow.
the
Okay.
rest is history.
Yeah.
So what's the like in We Banjo 3 we have two sets of brothers. I mean you know this obviously. And so we get asked the whole time, what's it like touring with your family? And you know, there's pros and cons to it. One, we can never sort an argument, which is why we have Frank. Because if you have two, I mean, and oddly enough, it's not like two sets of brothers, you know, the way that it's not a familial divide. It's usually split both ways. But we have Frank. So I mean, what's it like touring as a married couple in a band of 5? Does it bring it challenges?
I'd say it's okay for us. It's probably better asking the other 3. For them.
They're on next week. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, but like even that's the thing that we're like, because we all went to college together and me and Colin weren't going out until the end of college. The dynamic first was all a group of friends, and I think ultimately it sort of stood that way. So it's easy for us. Like it's a lot easier for us than it is for the boys who have their wives and stuff at home. You know, so.
But it's kind of like, you know yourself when you're touring, it's really like we're all one big family anyway. It's like we're all married to each other anyway in a weird way. If that makes sense, you're beside each other like for every moment of the day nearly. You know, so it's kind of, it's weird in a way. But it's fun. That's what touring is.
Like when one of you storms out of the hotel room and then realizes you don't have anywhere to go, do you just kind of come back straight away? Is that the way it works?
You know, you knock on one of the other rooms and see if you can get into it. Not quite. You look down that road, that's good.
Oh, that's very good. Now, I had asked if people wanted to submit bar-on jokes, not funny ones, but ones that you had never heard before.
Right.
That they could win a We Banjo 3 t-shirt, because I'm sure as a bar-on player, and you know, I have some affinity with your pain being a banjo player. But there must be an absolute torrent of bar-on jokes. So we'll give it a minute and see if anyone anyone has one that you've never heard before.
We get all the jokes because we banjo, kind of accordion and bar on the ones. We're usually the ones for the jokes.
I mean, short of the bagpipes, you've got it all. You do manage to turn it into quite a phenomenal sound, it must be said. I know that because, you know, from following you over the last couple of years, that, you know, we've really concentrated on the US, primarily because Martin and David are living there. You guys have done a lot of work in Europe, but you recently took on a new agency in the US, and that seems to have made a huge difference. Am I right in saying that? Has that really opened doors for you?
Yeah, like I suppose for years we've been doing a lot in Germany and Switzerland and different places as well as America and stuff. But 2018 we signed up with Mark Dalen of Dalen Artist Management, and he's just been absolutely brilliant. It's just a fantastic agency and really looked after us and done a lot of work. And the March tours is something that we always seem to really look forward to every year. Everything's just really done. And then, you know yourself, the US audiences are always brilliant as well. They always give so much energy to the shows. It's different than what you get in Europe as well. So it's something we really enjoy. So yeah, it's been definitely a big difference.
And is Europe still a good focus for you guys? Are you going to do much work there?
Yeah.
It's bits and pieces. It sort of just depends every year. Like, we love going out to Germany. To us, the German audience are absolutely brilliant, and they absolutely love Irish music, which is brilliant. That's the places you want to go to, the places that love it. So, and they seem to really enjoy it. Like they're always up dancing and stuff as well. So
it's good fun.
Anywhere that's
it's different. It's anywhere you go, like it's always a different vibe. But I think for us, we kind of like just change things around and do a different scene every so often as well. You know, so.
And so the band was nearly to stay in Ireland this year, and we had a few festivals and stuff in Ireland for the summer. But the way things went, I don't think it's going to look like it's going to happen now. We will be in Ireland, but not for music.
We're all staying in Ireland this year, and none of us by choice. Yeah. Any advice for new bands, for baby bands that are starting up?
I suppose the advice I'd say is just stick true to the song that you believe in, or the song that you want. And don't be afraid to ask other bands or other people questions and ask for advice, you know. So I know for ourselves, the Yoga Light were brilliant to us, the band Yoga Light, and they gave us so much advice and so much tips. And Danny, who was on the same roster in the US, they've been brilliant. Benny McCarthy and those have been fantastic for giving help, and Dara Bracken from Slide all the time. So that's what I always say, is don't be afraid to ask questions. Everyone's in it kind of together. We're all, as you know, it's a small world, the Irish music scene and the circuit as well in the States, and we'd always cross paths at festivals, and you know what I mean. So don't be afraid to just ask and
stick with it. Like it can get very discouraging, especially at the start. Like we did a couple of tours that were great crack and stuff, but you know, financially at the start you're thinking, God, is this really going to turn into a job? So whenever it does work out, you know, you feel like, wow, this is actually worthwhile. So I just say,
stick with it. Yeah, you have your ups and downs like anything as well. So you know yourself. It's perseverance is the key, I think, isn't it?
Are you ready for a few Barlon jokes? You'll have to play us a tune after this. So Colin Smith says, a Barlon player was sick of the band abusing him and started to start his own band. Walked into a music shop, started planning to buy the first instruments he saw. He said, I'll have that red saxophone and that accordion. The assistant said, you play the Barlon, don't you? He goes, yeah, how do you know? Well, the fire extinguisher I can sell you, but the radiator has to stay there.
Yeah, brilliant.
You know, you've heard it, yeah?
It's one of my favourite, though. I think that one's hard to top. Personal favourite.
Yeah. What do you call a groupie who annoys musicians during a session? Well, it doesn't have an answer, but... Oh, and we can't tell that one. That's about, good Lord, bombs and stuff. Will you play us a tune?
Yeah.
No, we'd love to hear something.
Oh,
This is probably just going to lead to more Barlon jokes, so I'm kind of a bit...
So this is
about doing this, but...
So we're live from your brand new kitchen, because you flew home on the same flight as myself and Fergal when we were all, it was like escape from America. It was quite a strange day, and then you were coming home to stay in your brand new house for the very first time that night. Unexpected. Yeah.
Yeah, and we didn't even, when we left, we didn't even have any mattresses or any beds or anything. So, like a few phone calls when we realised that we had to come home to the parents saying, any chance you would go up and buy us a bed and a mattress.
You seriously, you need to do a relationship blog, like how to survive all of these mad things and still be smiling at the end of it, yeah?
It's crazy, man, because we just got the keys and literally threw everything in the day that we were going to the airport and locked the door, threw everything in. So then it was coming back to unpack, and
but it was good. We spent a bit of time to do it as well.
So we've been busy anyway doing that. So
all right.
Yeah, we do G. together. If it's ever just me and him, we literally can never agree on what we're going to play. It's like, digits, I don't really want digits. Please, we digits. Like, we literally don't play them together unless it's.
I have no idea why the bar player would have an opinion in this.
No.
I'm influence on that second team. She just go with it, you know.
Oh, but that's true. So, Colin, I don't know, I'm surprised he admitted to that actually. So, when he has a bit of free time, Colin is actually learning the accordion and the button accordion. So, it was really funny. Earlier on, I was just playing a few tunes and stuff, and I was like, God, this tune's in my head. I have no idea. And he's like, you have no idea. I haven't stopped playing that tune with the accordion for like 4 days. So, like, what was it?
I'm trying to become a real musician now, you see, end it, so.
I know, yeah. It's pity you wouldn't take up a proper instrument like a banjo.
I will, you know.
Leave that to Anne.
Yeah.
But you're already married, you don't need the banjo.
Exactly.
That was a joke. Bad one. Guys, I'm going to let you get back to the painting, and hopefully you'll still be married at the end of all of this. Home DIY, no doubt.
We haven't disagreed too badly yet, so we're all good.
Yeah.
We might have a pink room, but it's all good.
Listen, thanks so much. Are you doing have you a Patreon for Gwitcha, or any lessons or anything like that you want to let people know about? You're just hanging out painting?
No, we're just kind of working away ourselves, just putting steps in the chairs and hanging out and taking it easy at the moment, kind of a bit of downtime, but we'll make do something in the next week. We'll see.
Well, hopefully everyone will get online, get onto Gwitcha, and is it Gwitcha.com or Gwitcha Music, or how does that work out? Gwitcha.ie. Buy all their music and t-shirts and all that kind of stuff. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right. There you go. Gwitcha.ie. That was Anya McGeaney and Colin Phelan, live from Portlaoise. Lovely musicians, lovely people. And if you feel like supporting Irish bands at the moment, you couldn't do much better than supporting them. So that's Gwitcha.ie. Wonderful. Where are we? 6:20. All right. That's great. I have instruments around me, but I'm really excited to to talk to Tom Cussen. I'm just texting David Howley as well at the moment, so bear with me. All right, so I'm going to go to FaceTime. Where is it? So loads of comments about Gwitcha, because they're really fantastic people, and there we go. I've got the circling ring of death. I don't like that. Now I know Tom was down in a field picking stones when I talked to him an hour ago, so hopefully he has. There you are. Hello, Tom.
Hello.
Just bear with me now, and I'm going to get you on the screen. That's the wrong one, so that's me. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I dressed up for this.
There you are. Now, bit of technical jiggery pokery, and we have you live on screen. So now, I'm going to introduce you, Tom, because you're live with We Banjo 3 Facebook page. And for the folks that don't play the banjo and don't know, this is Tom Cussen. Tom founded Clarine Banjos quite a long time ago, and both myself and Martin and David all play Clarine Banjos. I've known Tom since I was 8 years old, which is quite a long time ago now.
I'll show you a photograph in a few minutes. not quite now. But
no, not quite 8, yeah. So Tom has a workshop in Clarenbridge in Galway. Very, very successful banjo maker. I'd imagine the biggest tenor banjo maker in Europe at any rate, certainly, and with worldwide renown for the quality of his instruments. And we were chatting during the week, and I thought, no better man, because anytime I've ever gone out to the workshop to see you, and I brought my wife with me, Gillian, and she goes, oh God, we're going to be here for 3 hours. Because we always end up chatting so much.
well, there's a secret to that, you know.
Right.
There's a a lot of banjo wives and a lot of some banjo boyfriends too get left in the car too long. I always invite them, if you're going to stay for a while, you better bring them in, because there's plenty of pictures here to look around.
And loads of banjos.
Well, loads of banjos and pictures on the wall, even if you're playing no music.
So,
You know?
why on earth did you decide to try and make a banjo? And it's quite a while ago.
It's quite a while ago, to be honest with you, and why did I try? I suppose, really and truly, I was always making things for myself. As a youngster, I suppose we had to make things for ourselves because things weren't really, they were difficult to get. We're talking about the 50s and the 60s now. So I built my own bike for the first, to go to school when I started going to secondary. So just to give you an idea. So, and that was built from scrap that I'd found. So that was my first escapade into kind of doing things for yourself. So when did I make the first banjo? I got interested in banjos in the mid-70s because I was playing quite a bit with the band Shaskin, and we were out and about, and we were like you guys now, we were new kids on the block at the time, That's a long time ago, so 40, 50 years ago now. So we were new kids in the block, so we were, we had a banjo in the band, and we had a box with a singer, guitar player, and we had a set of drums. So we had with our own sound. And the thing about it is, people kept coming to me asking, oh crikey, do you know anything about banjos? And I said, well look, the story goes, I have a banjo at home. It's in the wardrobe, it's up in the attic. My uncle brought it back from the States 40 years ago and it's never been used. So it's like buying your own first car, I believe. When you buy your own first car, you're always inside under the bonnet, keeping it going. It's, back in the days. So I kept my own banjos in good order. I played Paragon, I played a few different types of banjos at the time. And I started wheeling and dealing and setting them up primarily for Irish music, put on heavier strings on them, and that was 1976. I bought my first banjo to do up, an old open back banjo, which I must admit I must have done it up about 100 times. And don't forget, that time there was no internet, it was all snail mail and all of that, so that was it really and truly. It was all about gathering information the first few years.
Were you kind of winging it at the start?
Oh yeah, I mean there was nobody else. As far as I was concerned, I wasn't a carpenter. I was an electronic engineer. But I was used to using my hands with building electronic equipment, and I had my own workshop in the university in Galway and looked after, maintained equipment there and looked after electromechanical stuff. So, I mean, that kind of accuracy and that kind of building was no difficulty. The difficulty was finding the information, how to do it, which was very skimp at the time, because you didn't, as I said, you didn't have the internet or anything like that. So it was all, you got an address in a catalogue, and you wrote to that address. Hopefully you get an answer back. And I eventually got communication with some American people and things like that. And if they were coming to Ireland, I would grab them for a half a day or an hour or whatever, especially if they were makers or anything like that. So in that respect, I gleaned information from these people, and to be fair, they were very helpful. Like I think we all are when it comes to that kind of thing. So the first few years were gathering information, collecting information, looking at books, reading up how to do this, how to do that. And I built my first banjo in 1979 from a kit that I got from Saga, I think at the time. They were only after starting not too long before that. Tearing banjos were started a couple of years before that, and I got some materials from them as well, Greg and Janet, in the early years. So that was 1979. first banjo.
Was that like an IKEA banjo?
Well, in a sense, yeah, except I put my own designs on it. You know, I did make the neck from scratch, but the pot and the metal hardware and all that was bought in. So you could say yes, IKEA, I suppose, to a degree. And that banjo was subsequently, believe it or not, a very good banjo, even if I say so myself. It was subsequently stolen from a guy that bought it from me. He was camping in France, and it was stolen about 5 years later, never to be found. So there you go. So that was it. I moved house then in the meantime, because I lived in Rinmore, in close, a suburb of Galway City, as you'd be familiar with, and moved out here to Clouden Bridge, and in doing so, built a house and built a kind of, shall I say, hobby workshop, you know, a double garage. One side was supposed to be for the garage, for the car, and the other side was supposed to be a small hobby shop, but sure, the car never ventured inside the door, so that was I had more room to work away, and I started really, I built a house we built a house 79, 80, and we moved in 1980, and there was a period then for about a year and a half that not a whole lot was done because there was a lot of housework to be done. But before that, in Rinmore, I'd set up a workshop and started repairing and setting up, and I started buying and selling vintage banjos from the States, and that was my education. And every time I got somebody calling that knew something about a banjo, or make a banjo, or make a guitar even, they always got creamed for information, effectively.
So one of the questions we had prior to this starting was your thoughts on vintage banjos versus new banjos. Now this is kind of jumping ahead, I do want to hear the rest of the story.
Okay, well, to be honest with you, look, the vintage banjos that were made, and when you consider the amount of vintage companies that were making them back in the 20s and 30s, well up to mid-30s anyway, and a few of them survived, no question about it, there was some terrific banjos, there was some awful cheap stuff as well, let's be honest about it, because there's a market for everything to a degree, so you have to kind of make the market and find a level that you're comfortable with. So, I suppose I would say to you here in this country, because there wasn't as much travel between the States and Ireland as there is today, and certainly in the last 30 years. But if you go back to the 70s, you know, it was expensive and things like that. So the best cheap banjo that was available in Ireland up until about 74 was the Framus banjo, which was made in Germany. And I mean, they were very good instruments. They were well made, but they were difficult enough to keep them in tune.
Very, very hard to play. I always found them really heavy and tough.
Yeah, but I had a top of the line Framus that I bought in 1970 for £80, 80 pounds. That time, probably about $120 or $30, I suppose, really. So in that context, they were very good, and it served me until it got broken.
If you could buy any banjo in the world, regardless of cost, is there a dream banjo out there that you know of that you would absolutely love?
No, not that I'm aware of. Look, there are dream banjos, don't get me wrong. I mean, there are high-end, beautiful, decorative, absolutely to the hilt. There are some banjos that are fantastic. But really, at the end of the day, you know, I think myself, it's down to tone quality and what the person wants. So you try and go down that road. And I think, you know, because we do a different tuning, as you know, like fiddle tuning, or now they refer to it as mostly Irish tenor banjo tuning, which is a drop tuning, GDAE, you know, because we like the heavier strings. And that happened because people played the fiddle and the mandolin that could alternate between them. So it was easy to do that. But what happened in the 70s is we put on slightly heavier strings well, I did anyway, you know, and things like that, and it made a difference because I used to be breaking strings every night I went out playing, breaking bloody string every night.
You know,
Absolutely.
you know how many I used to break back in my 20s?
I know, yeah. So I mean, the quality of the strings have improved as well. Let's face it. So I mean, to be honest, and that's how I got into it, and it's all by educating oneself and information.
It must be gratifying on some level, kind of, to go from having made your first banjo as a kit, as a curiosity, to then becoming clarine banjos, and then to see the explosion of quality Irish banjo players. And I mean, they all come through your workshop at one stage or other.
Well, a good few of them now, I would say. Well, that's true. I mean, look, I keep referring to the 60s and 70s. I'm a kind of a 60s player. You're a kind of an 80s player, maybe 90s, you know. But you could nearly put people into categories in terms of the way the style has evolved. And there's no question about it. I mean, there are kids coming in here now that are 8, 9 and 10 and 11, and I mean, I wouldn't hold a candlelight to them, in all honesty. Technicalities and everything like that. But, you know, some of them are missing this, you know.
The clarine badge or a heart? But that comes with age, Tom, you know that.
The heart is very important in the music, as you know yourself.
But
so there's a grow in there that's very important. But be that as it may, that there's no question about it. Yourselves, I've seen you sort of grow, and I've seen you coming from the style when you started out and the improvement and as it went on. And like, I mean, by the time you were 15 or 16, like, I mean, you were doing things that I couldn't imagine could be done, to be honest about it. But you were, yourself and Martin, and a lot more alongside you as well, you know. I mean, I would have to say, I suppose, to go back a small vintage, that in terms of players, and this is not picking out to me any player that's better than another, but I suppose I would have to say Jerry O'Connor kind of set the level, you know, he set the bar, really, because of his commercial recordings. Now, that doesn't mean to say that there was other players out there doing as good, but because of Jerry's recordings and his public performances, he kind of set the bar. And that's the way I look at it, you know. I mean, Jerry would probably say today that there's youngsters that have cashed him out, like.
Sure. Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So you do in the situation what you do in the situation, and that changes.
Yeah. What did you think of David and Martin when they had the bleach blonde surfer hair? It's a very important question.
Well, it is. I mean, we have a surfer here with us. Well, he's not in at the moment because of this quarantine thing. Sean is a surfer, so we're familiar with surfers. Yes, I mean, I see the personalities changing. I will show you a photograph here of young Martin Howley. I'm going to turn the camera around a minute now. So
we'd love to see that.
Can I turn this around now so that I can point it at it? And there's one of yourselves as well. 1 second now, let's see. No. Oh, that's the picker done, by the way.
Fantastic, yeah.
And just right above him, I don't know if I get the shine of Martin Howley and myself. He was receiving, I think that was from Kennedy McCourtis.
Yeah.
They were honouring him after he won the All-Ireland, I think.
He won 3 solo All-Irelands on 3 different instruments, all in the one day.
Right. And they're represented there on that little plaque.
That's right.
So that's that. And here, down here then, I took this down off the wall because I couldn't show it to you. You've got young Curly, and you've got Martin, and you've got the small fella in the middle, and then you've got you, see, much younger in the scale. Like,
I know. If I shaved off my beard, I'd look exactly like that now.
Without the beard. Well, you might, but you might have to go for the boot polish in the hair. So I mean, like this is. I mean, if people want to see what's in here, like, I mean, where am I now? Oh, is it? There's a young lady, a young fella, young lady, and a young lady here that won the All-Ireland playing banjo. She was having it back in '93. So.
Sheila's out in the US now.
Is she?
She is, yeah.
I'm just showing you this photograph here because for me that's an iconic photograph. The famous Jimmy Shand Scottish, fantastic Scottish musician.
Yeah.
You're too young to remember these now.
I know the name, yeah.
You know the name, like, I mean, you know, and there was another Englishman, Pete Stanley, a five-string banjo player, one of the best English five-string banjo players, died recently. Maybe I shouldn't be showing you this. I should be showing you my banjos, but I turn around again. So, in a way, I suppose, if one is, be honest about it, and I'm delighted to say that, absolutely delighted to say that Fintan, my son, who's here for the last 18 years, you know, came in, and Fintan has taken over and is doing a bloody good job, like, as far as I'm concerned. And it would have been, for me, it would have been a bit of a killer, shall I say, you know, not having spent so long at it. And just have to, because at this stage of my life, I just couldn't deal with the pressure, like, I just couldn't.
How many banjos do you make a year now?
Well, we're making up on a couple of hundred a year, up towards a couple of hundred a year, you know. But that depends. Now this year it's going to be more difficult because of this virus thing, and a lot of festivals cancelled and all of that type of thing, and it's going to affect everybody. Let's face it, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm celebrating 50 years in music this year myself, you know, and we had a lot of plans, and I don't know if I should mention it, but I lost two very good buddies out of my band there in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Look, just passed away, like, not expected, let's be honest, but I suppose we're at the age that things happen, you know, it's as simple as that. So they're going to be a loss, you know, you don't replace people like that, you put different people in there down the road, but their attitude was to well, keep it lit, you know, and you know the people as well.
Of course,
you know?
yeah.
So
I think the last time we were all together, if I'm not mistaken, was in Alsace, in France, on the German border, and it must be 20 years ago. And
it is that with George Carruthers, my very good friend, who is now no longer with us either. That festival, we did that festival. We used to call it the Alsace Festival. It was up in the Vosges Mountains. It was near Orbey. O-R-B-E-Y, I might be pronouncing that 100%, but we used to dynamite crack, absolutely dynamite crack.
Yeah.
And
I remember Pat Costello had driven all the way from, like, the ferry on the very far side of France, and my memory of him was there with the bonnet of the car open, trying to cool down the engine after driving.
Yes, we drove it a few times as well, you know, because it was. And we drove to England as well on one or two occasions, but we made a holiday out of it, as well as what we did was we did workshops and teaching. We did a few concerts and we did a Gailey, and you know, you were there yourself, and it was a laid back bit of crack, and you had people from Germany, France, Switzerland, and all nations. It was like it was all nations, really, to be honest about it.
Show us one of your banjos, Tom.
Right,
there must be a fancy one there, is there?
Huh?
There must be a fancy one there.
There is. Well, I'll show you one of that I must admit now, I will show you this because it's the first one I'm going to show you, because I had no hand, act or part in it. This is Fintan's design, and it's, this is depicted in it. It's as good as any. You asked me about modern and vintage banjos. This is as good as any vintage banjo you're likely to see. Now, whether it's tone-wise, it's for everybody, it's another thing. You know yourself, you picked out stuff before, it's very hard. People say to me, I want a banjo to sound like Ballymackinnon, not Merson Valley. You know, you can't get a banjo that sounds like Ballymackinnon. You can get one that's close to it, or you can get one that's close to what in the plays. But you see, what a lot of people forget is that the driver has an awful lot to do with the instrument as well. I don't know whether you agree with that or not, but
100%, yeah.
You know, I mean, it's how you. Sorry, no, I'm going wrong with that. Sorry, I know you're right, and I forget the thing. So these are banjos. this one here is the Setanta. That's the top of the line. Plus the fact we have these new flanges now. I don't know if you can see it. They're very light.
I've seen them. Yeah, they're beautiful.
They've taken about a half a kilo off the banjo. This is an elite. It's one like that I was playing myself for a long time. I'm playing a Setanta now. There's another elite. Sorry now. This here now is another one of Finton's design. I know there's a shine off this is the Oyster, but it's the same as the old Oyster, but the India is a little bit different. We're using a full flange, but the tone ring is the same as the original and things like that, and what have you. So, and the rest is plus the fact I just show you a little mandolin we made. Sean, who works here in the workshop with us, this is one of his mandolins.
Beautiful. Yeah. I believe the Setanta, you made
there's the vintage stuff there. Sorry.
Yeah, you made a Setanta for me about 10 years ago, and I think that was one of the first banjos where Finton did that very complex inlay along the neck. I had a
It was actually the vine. It was actually. Yeah. Now we don't have a CNC machine. He does that by hand. So there's a lot of work in it, you know.
Yeah, it's fantastic work.
But I mean, he's doing okay. He's doing very good. I'm delighted because it gives me more freedom.
Yeah.
I mean, this evening when I talked to you, I was down the field picking stones. I know that might sound very strange to people that are listening, you know, but I'm living out in the country and you do country things.
Yeah.
You know.
Brilliant, Tom. Well, listen, I'm going to let you go and wish you continued success and health.
And the same to you, boys. You're flying all over the country at the moment.
Yeah.
I suppose I should show that we're still selling an odd CD of yours up here. Look.
Turn it around there. That's the top of your head.
Oh Jesus! I beg your pardon. Sure. Yes. See that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of the other ones. Oh, by the way, I suppose I shouldn't let you go. Look, I have to.
Is this the brand new Shaskin album?
That's the brand new Shaskin double album.
Wow.
Not launched yet, but out.
Yeah.
We postponed the launching on account of our friends and things like that. So that's like. And if you look, do you recognize those books?
I do, yeah. Do you know the first one that I wrote, Tom? A funny story going back to Alsace. And you'll remember his name, and I can't remember his name. But there was only one banjo student at that festival. He was a German man. He looked like a big brown bear, a big man with a beard. He was very serious.
Yes.
You know the guy I'm talking about.
I do. A great friend of mine now.
Yes.
He rang me the other day. A fantastic, most genuine person who could meet. Burkhard Becker.
Burkhard, and he asked because he had the full week, and it was just the two of us.
Yes.
And he broke down my technique into every single solitary movement of the pick. And by the time I had finished the week, I had established a banjo technique that I never knew that I had. And I went home and I wrote a book after it.
because you had to break it down yourself.
Yeah.
I know. And you know something, to be honest about it, sometimes that's very helpful because if you don't know exactly why you're doing it yourself, it's very hard to tell it to somebody else.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, so when you do break it down like that, for whatever reason, it's also good for the teacher. Well, I certainly found that anyway, to be honest about it.
Absolutely.
So that's the story.
That's it. So Clarine banjos, and God, you'll have a load of orders now for those beautiful banjos.
We're working away behind closed doors. We're kind of gathering. In other words, Finton is we're keeping our social distance at the moment because I'm at the wrong side of I'm the cocoon version, you know, at the moment. But be that as it may, look, we're still learning. There is no day passes by but you learn something new, and that is very, very important. Yeah. And if I can pass that on to any youngster, no matter what they can do today, something else will come up tomorrow that they can do.
Indeed.
That's and take it on board. It's very important.
Indeed. Tom, thank you so much for your time. Lovely to see you.
That's all right. Thanks again.
We'll catch up when all this is over.
Keep those banjos flying. Sure, you're flying it. When are you buying your first jet? Although it might be a good time to buy a jet, but not a good time to fly.
We're a while off the jet yet. We'll settle for a van. That'll be a good start.
One of those big, what do they call them in the States? Winnebagos, is it? The big.
Oh yeah, that's the dream. Yeah,
That
one
would be
one
nice.
each though. One each.
Oh, Jesus, Dave. He'd have difficulty parking, you know?
Yeah.
By the way, I suppose we should say, like, I should say that I lost a good friend, and you knew Dave Boyle as well,
Yes.
recently as well, indeed, another banjo maker that we did a lot of work together. We were not competitors, we operated freely together, we helped each other. Dave was a mechanical engineer, and we made a lot of jigs together, and it's sad that I think actually he's been buried today, actually, if my memory is certainly right. So his condolences to his family as well, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a tough old time in the, you
Yes,
know.
it is. We had Mary McPartlin, as you know, was buried yesterday.
That's right. Another lady I know well.
Wonderful
went
singer.
to college. Yeah. She passed away as well. There's a lot of musicians. I think it's the wrong end of the line, you know,
Yeah.
at the moment.
Tough times.
So I wish you every success, and give my regards to the other boys when you sort of meet them, because I know you're separated at the moment. So we'll talk again with them about it.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Tom. Have a nice evening.
All right, and, man,
Bye-bye.
thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Right. Wonderful. Oh, there, I'm back. The wonderful Tom Cussen could talk for Ireland, and highly, highly entertaining. A lovely, lovely man. He's been so good to all the lads in We Banjo 3. So good to me right from when I was 8 years old, I think, or 8 or 9 years old the first time I met Tom. I know him for a long, long time. Mary O'Malley, Tom's last name is Cussen. Oh yeah, Sean Murphy got it. Tom Cussen, a living legend, indeed, absolutely, and no doubt about it. All right, we have 10 minutes left in this hour. I had hoped to get somebody online. I'm going to try and find my good friend. I have to scroll down through. Here we go. Nope. FaceTime. Here. Why can't I get the video? You have to bear with me now, because this is live Facebook. Nothing happening for me. Dave, if you're watching, will you ring me on FaceTime? I'm trying my best to get you up there, but I can't get a video. I'm trying to get David Howley. You may have heard of Dave from We Banjo 3. Dave is going to come on live on the Facebook. Loads of comments here. I haven't really got to many of them. Robbie Jones, fair play. Wonderful friendship, yeah. Tom Cussen is a wonderful man altogether. And Tom's band is called Shaskeen, which is 50 years this year. And two of the original members of Shaskeen passed away in the last week. Pat Broderick, who was the piper, an amazing man altogether, a great character. And Pat Broderick.
I should mute you because I'm listening to you.
I have to find you and put you on. There's too many screens. All right, FaceTime with David Howley Music. Here we go. That's an OK, and transition, and there you are. Hello.
Hello, Endescal.
It's great to see you. How are you? How's Nashville?
Oh, that's good. Yeah, it's good. Trying to save any sort of sanity that's left at all.
Well, I mean, I have you on for a purpose, because I was texting you earlier as I was live streaming at the same time and have a little bit of a panic attack about 10 to 6 when I couldn't see myself. And just chatting to Tom Cussen as you were listening, and you know, a lot of important people in Irish music passed away this week. And a huge figure in American music passed away last night. And I know an awful lot of people know about this, but John Prine. We had actually been working on a song during the week, John Prine
Yeah.
song, and so I figured there's no better fitting tribute to John than to get you on to sing a song, sing a John Prine song
Yeah.
for us. So what are you going to sing?
Of course. Yeah, and it's crazy. We were talking about it the other day of like that it's not only just John's songs, but to think of all the songwriters that he's inspired and all their songs. He's essentially the root of so many. Yeah, it's sad.
That was the amazing thing when I was reading a lot of the Facebook posts today, was people kind of going, you know, here I was in the 70s, never really thought about writing a song before, and then I heard John Prine's album, and suddenly I was inspired to be a songwriter. People that have gone on to be huge songwriters that were inspired by him, yeah.
And even all the songs that he wrote for other people, and yeah. So yeah, let's sing them out.
All right.
This is The Angel from Montgomery.
Lovely.
I am an old woman named after my mother. My old man's another child that's grown old. If dreams were lightning and thunder desire, this house would have burned down a long time ago. Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of a no rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. Believe in this living, it's just a hard way to go. When I was younger, I had me a cowboy. Weren't much to look at, just a free rambling man. But that was a long time, no matter how I tried. The years just flow by like a broken down dam. Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of no rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. Believe in this living, it's just a hard way to go. There's flies in the kitchen, I can hear them buzzing. And I ain't done nothing since I woke up today. How the hell can a person go to work in the morning, come home in the evening, and have nothing to say? Make me an angel that flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of a no rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. Believe in this living, it's just a hard way to go. To believe in this living, it's just a hard way to go.
Wonderful. Thanks, Dave.
Hey, no worries. Thanks for having me on.
A hero. I was like, Dave, bring me! I can't find you on FaceTime.
Well done. I really enjoyed today. I especially enjoyed hearing the interview with Tom, because I haven't seen Tom in probably a couple of years at this point.
Yeah, sure. We know Tom since we were all kids, yeah. Amazing guy, yeah. That's a
As
beautiful.
I said, Tom is the banjo godfather.
Yeah, yeah. I saw that popping up in comments a couple of times. Yeah, he's a great
The
man.
Don.
He's a great man. Yeah, that's a beautiful
Yeah.
song. Absolutely gorgeous song.
Well, it's actually interesting to like read the lyrics of that song and the Bill Withers song. Those two songs, it's interesting. Lean on Me and Angel from Montgomery. If you really dip into the words, the lyrics hold so much more meaning in times like this. And maybe that's what's so impressive about the songwriting that happened in that time. Like Angel from Montgomery, let me Google that and see what, I don't know what year that was written in, but it's a while ago. And even like the third verse of there's flies in the kitchen, I can hear them buzzing. And I ain't done nothing since I woke up today. How the hell can a person go to work in the morning and come home in the evening and have nothing to say? Like, the relevance for that in our lives and our time now is more than ever. I just think it's like, it's like they were the explorers, they were the frontiersmen of songwriting.
Mm.
I think we owe a lot of our craft and a lot of what we do every day to those songwriters. So, yeah.
Yeah, huge loss.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Dave. Everything good in Nashville?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, just hanging in there. It's becoming warmer and sunnier, which I won't flaunt because I know that there's other people who are, it's rainy and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm here. Come on in. I'm here with, this is my quarantine buddy, Scott Mulcahill.
Hey, Scott.
Hey, Brenda.
How you doing, man?
Good. Hey, I'm about to do the thing. Set up.
Scott's about to do an interview with someone very important, so I'm going to let you go ahead.
That's all good, man. I'm gonna